afternoon, folks. If you haven't noticed, today we're in a cemetery. Eventually, we all wind up here. Behind me are two of my relatives from my father's side. Fortunately, a person that most of us don't care for, Mr. Fred Phelps, is now going to be lying 6 foot under in one of these places. There's been a lot of outcry lately on the internet about his death and how they protested and everything. A lot of people were saying about protesting his death. Well, I'll tell you what, here's how I feel about this. This morning I got up and I was flipping through the internet, reading articles, checking the news, and I saw that the members of the Westboro Baptist Church had asked that we respect them and we be decent and not protest his funeral. Well, I got bored and I went over to their website, www.godhatesfags.com. Wow, what a great website, let me tell you. So I decided I'd introduce you to somebody. Behind me is the grave of my great uncle, who served in the Second World War, who served in the United States Navy. He was an engineman second class. My uncle happened to be gay. And I'll tell you this much. When we were kids growing up, none of us knew. I didn't know until 1995 when my father told me. But we all loved my uncle, and he was one of the greatest guys you'd ever know in your life. Entertaining, hilarious, caring, loved everybody. Not a hatred bone in his body. Granted, I don't stand for his lifestyle. I don't care for it myself. But it was his lifestyle, and it was his option. Now, Mr. Fred Phelps decides that he wants his church to go out and protest the dead soldiers and the dead sailors and airmen that were killed in Iraq because we're considered gay. Let me tell you something there, Westboro Baptist Church. I'm not. Even though you don't agree with their lifestyle, they are authorized to fight for their freedoms and their religions per the Constitution. If you don't like it, tough. That's not your call. That's not your decision. That is theirs. Now, as far as Mr. Phelps' funeral and the decency, Westboro Baptist Church, you didn't have the decency to let the families alone of the dead and dying from the Iraq War and the Afghanistan War. I don't think anybody, should be just as decent as you were and show up at that funeral. So you know what? I hope that there's a million protesters there. And to be honest with you, I would love to be there, but I have other things to tend to because I'm not as little as most of them. So as far as I'm concerned, Westboro Baptist Church, I pray every night that God sends a boatload of protesters to your pastor's funeral, because I believe you all deserve it, because you didn't have the decency to pay the respect to the dead and the dying that were fighting for your freedom on the front lines. So that's all I have to say, folks. Have a good evening.